Welcome to Leadership, Love and Laughter, where we dive into the unspoken truths in life and business. I'm Natalie Potts.
And I'm Victoria Dioh.
Let's go!
Hello there. Welcome to Leadership,
Love
and Laughter. My name is Victoria Dioh, and you are
Natalie Potts.
Yoo-hoo. What are we talking about today, Potts?
Putting people on a pedestal.
PPP. Who do you put on a pedestal?
My dad.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Why?
I've always seen him as very successful in life, business. I think real life, actually, because he's just very happy. He just always says he's the most anti-Facebook or anything that's like, just destroy the world. But he's like, he retired at 52. He has a lovely house. He's got a lovely family. He's like, I'm content. I'm happy. He goes, that's all I need. He goes, we have some nice holidays and that's that. And I love that. I think it's just really simple. It's interesting. A community I'm in the other week asked, where do you feel most confident? And I started to think about what confidence means to me, etc. And I thought it's at home, like when I'm at the family home, especially stuff like Christmas. Like I just feel very safe. I feel very confident just to be me. There's no judgment. You just and that that inspires me, motivates me, it drives me, empowers me. I feel very privileged to have that. I feel very proud to have that. So I've easily, and my mum for different reasons as well. My mum and dad are always on a pedestal, and I'm very open and honest with my mum and dad with everything. There's not a lot I don't share with them, which is again the relationship I love. Business wise, I have done with mentors at times, but I think I'm very aware of it now. I think it's sometimes I say that only because other people might see that more in me, but it's more from a place where I've looked at them and I just like, I'm very inspired and I love what they do, and I have a lot of admiration for what they're doing in things. So what about yourself?
None.
Really?
I don't believe in it. I don't believe in it. I admire people.
Doesn't mean you don't do it.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't. What? Go on. What was that
Continue.
for? Go on.
It's just these moments of no.
No.
I don't feel. The funny thing is though, some people feel like, oh my God, and I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah, it's very final. It's very final, though, isn't it?
I like that though.
Yeah, but no, I don't. Do you know why? Because I don't know if it's because I see the seer in me sees beyond that, so I see the human being and everything else. Does that make sense? And stuff. I don't know if it's that.
Question just to throw in there: have you ever done that though? Have you put people on a pedestal? Therefore, your experience and learnings have allowed you to see things differently now. No. Okay.
No. I admire people. I mean, I loved my dad. God bless his soul. I loved him and stuff, but he wasn't perfect. And you know, I oh my God, I admire my mom. Like my mom's one of the most resilient women I know. You know, like she's birthed 7 children, brought up 6. One didn't make it past a certain point and stuff, but she, you know, she's currently in Nigeria. She's just buried my aunt, and whilst being a mum to 6 very opinionated, challenging, grown-up children, and she navigates us like God knows what, as well as managing 2 schools, and like the woman is 78. But I don't put people on pedestals.
It's really interesting because you're making me think right now about this.
I always make you think, don't I?
Yeah, you do. I like it. That's why I like it. That's why we get on well. And I don't allow many people to make me think.
You
like,
should
why
also,
I listen to you?
Is anybody watching her face when she's saying all this?
When I do have that face, I've got to talk that a lot, that youth faces everything. But I remember having therapy a few years ago, and every time I would talk about my parents, I'd be like, and I knew, because what I don't like about therapy and counselling is when I've heard, and I've seen it sometimes a bit in my own journey, but they can twist things a bit. So you put blame, and I'm like, no. And I'm huge on taking responsibility and accountability in life. I think that's something that I control and that we control. And I'd see people have therapy and turn on people that loved them, that wanted to help them on that. And I hated that. So I would always say to her, she was lovely, but I'd say, and I was like, the blame isn't going on my parents in any of this process, but it would keep coming up. And she said at one point, she says, why do you do it like a disclaimer all the time? Like, don't put it on my parents. And I was like, she goes, because there could be areas where they're wrong as well. I find it really hard to even now feel that they're at fault for a lot. Like, there's some, the other day I was thinking, like, there's some stuff my dad is very different on. And mum and I will say, like, actually, maybe we don't agree with everything he says. And he's not all right in everything. But dad has his attitude, like, I'm right with everything. So, but I do find it hard to put a lot of anything at my parents like that. It's really, but I know, like you're saying, like you just said there, and I love the fact you opened to share that, like, he wasn't perfect at everything. And we were having this conversation the other day at home because one of my cousins lost her husband too early in life. And there are points, and actually she was challenged on it by her ex, but he said, like, yes, he was an incredible man, but he wasn't perfect. And he was saying that because he was talking about one of his dad who passed away, and he was saying he wasn't perfect. But it's right, we can but we can make people seem like golden, never did anything wrong. And I guess I need to be aware of that I do that with my parents, actually. I do. Why do I do that? I love them. I think there's one of my biggest fears is losing my parents. I'm very I get very sensitive on that. And Tom knows that can tip me over. Like, it's a weird thing where I just, when you worry about stuff for the sake of worrying, I do that. And my parents like, what am I going to do when I lose them? And it's like, well, life will go on, and we'll get. We know that logically we do, but we don't think logically. We think irrationally and emotionally most of the time. And when that kicks in for me, that can naturally take me on another thing sometimes. Where it's like, I'm so fearful of losing my parents. So yeah, I think maybe it is just because, I've been fortunate enough to have so much love in my life from them. But that might not be healthy that I have that. Maybe I do need to work on it a bit, because there are certain things that it's not reality, is it?
Yeah. And you know what? It's something that you have to go through and get that self-realization.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing about putting people on pedestals. It's like, it's a very long drop when reality hits. Does that make sense? When you realize that, oh, actually, they're human beings. And here's the thing is that, to me, love is loving somebody irrespective of their imperfections.
I think there's one thing where, and this is what came up with therapy, I think I'm I try and have a lot of gratitude for things, and even more so in my older years now. And I'm very grateful for the upbringing I've had. And it grates on me when people aren't. It really can annoy me. Sometimes that can be something my brother's a little bit. And we'll both do different things. I'm not perfect at all. But if I think there's a thing with gratitude and not realising what you have, I think a lot of people don't realise what they have right now as well.
But here's the thing, though. So there's 6 of us. Every single person will give you a different experience of growing up with my parents.
That's so true.
And so we can't be, and at different periods of our lives, my siblings and I have experienced our parents differently. So there'll be times when my sister will talk about my dad, I go, I don't know who you're talking about, because it just doesn't, I don't know who you're talking about. And likewise, I'll speak and they go, really? And then we have like a blanket perception of my dad and of my mum and what have you, but we all experience it differently. And also, we've all got different personalities. So how my mum is with me isn't the way she is with my brother. Like, my mum has different conversations with every single one of us, because she knows what we can take. She knows who's got the boundaries where. She knows us all, right? She knows who's more sensitive and who's not. So we're all very different. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So as a result, the whole pedestal thing, from my perspective, it's like you can only put people on a pedestal if you don't expect them to drop, because that pedestal is really, really high. But we'll talk about parents as well, and losing parents as well, because I remember, like, my worst thing was my dad dying. Like, I was like, I can't ever imagine this man go. I remember once me and my dad were having a row, and he was on the table, and he always puts his glasses down when he wants to have a go, and he goes, one day I'm not going to be here. I'm like, where you going? Like, you know, it's like, one day you're going to turn around. And it's so funny being home and looking at the chair where he was sat saying that and he's not there. But here's the thing and stuff, you create a different relationship when they're not here.
Yeah.
You create a different relationship with them. So, for example, my dad's grave and stuff, like putting drinks on there and going, right, Dad, I'm having a swig for you. Here's a swig. And it's a different relationship. I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but life happens. And
Yeah.
and the love that you feel is what carries you through to cope with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The loss is the price of love. So it brings you to that place and stuff. But anyway, talking about pedestals.
But it's interesting because I think a lot of the narrative starts with our parents and our upbringing, doesn't it? Probably into things like maybe work as well. Like, so I know you said you don't put people on a pedestal, but for people who do, that could be somewhere where it's coming from as a root.
Yeah, it does. And I was shaking my head, guys, in agreeing that no, I don't put people on a pedestal. But yeah, completely. I think as well, if you didn't have that love, then you look for that love or for that relationship somewhere else.
Yeah.
And stuff. There's also that as well. Like you can look for that relationship somewhere else. So, but here's the thing as well. I have seen where people have given their power away because they've put people on pedestals, and they've given their power away and they've lost their voice because they're going, oh my God, you know, that person's amazing. Like, we've got some incredible people in our lives who are achieving some incredible things. But it's not a pedestal thing for me.
No, it's not for me.
No, and everybody I've got to know.
Actually, do you think I put people on pedestals?
Yeah, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think you get borderline and stuff. But I think being friends with me has helped you.
I'm working on it.
I think being friends with me has made you sort of like go, And
well, look, you keep saying around the point like you know everyone's a human first, and I do see people like there's no one that's perfect.
No, and we're not. And the fact that I haven't put people on a pedestal, I don't think that's right or wrong either.
Okay.
I think it's more the fact that I think I just see beyond that, which again is a gift. It's not what people do normally. But do you know what? I've just been really lucky. I've just been really lucky to know myself earlier on. But there's still things that I still don't know. What are you laughing at?
Just the energy that comes from that then.
I know.
Pure energy just drives through. Can't buy that. Where are you seeing it then, and what's the impact of that? Because we know about, again, like how lots of people speak down to, especially more online, but even in the corporate world, I remember it, like people speaking down to people. Where do you see this having a part where like people really play it, or they're really putting people on pedestals? Any impact of that?
I think people judge people will put people who they think are successful on pedestals.
For money success or what?
Money success.
Right.
And here's the thing. I don't think that people put people on pedestals, especially in the personal development world, and also in the corporate world. I don't think people put people on pedestals. I think the pedestals are very shaky. And I'll tell you why. Because I think a lot of people put people on pedestals because they think they can get something from that person if they put that person on a pedestal. So, for example, I'll give you a great example, Tony Robbins. I know people who literally, if they turn around to them and said, do you know what? If you had a chance to worship this man, would you? They'll go, yeah, I'll do it. And they will worship him. And I've seen people who talk to other people like crap. And when Tony turns up and stuff, they turn into quivering wrecks.
I hate that.
And it's pathetic to watch.
I hate it.
I also know people who, if they made an appointment with you, they will not honour that appointment. But I know that if Tony rang them tomorrow, they'd pick up that phone.
Yeah.
And I know other people as well who are successful, but their success is looked at through the money that they've made in their life, where they'll speak. And I know I've got a friend, and you know her, and she has seen how people treat her because of the money she's made, but she's also seen how those same people have treated other people very badly, and she's literally just severed relationships with them because they're completely against their values. So I think before people need to look at the people first and realize that you can lose it. The success that you're obsessed with can be lost, and the people that you're not looking at or edifying or paying attention to can make it. And you need to be looking at more than that to put people on a pedestal. You need to be looking at the human being as opposed to how much money that person's made. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think there's even, like you said, starts there, but I think the prerequisite to that is that you've got to know your values.
Completely. But a lot of people don't. They literally get seduced by, oh my God, like this person has been. That's
because it's about them.
Yeah. But also, we've got a mutual friend who, whenever he's about, he doesn't know if people like him because of his connections, or whether people come to him because they like him. And as a result, he doesn't know how to socialize because it's like, I don't know if people are coming for me or if they're coming for my connections.
What they get.
Yeah. And they may not get anything, but people are just obsessed with the fact that he's in the public eye and stuff. Or his family are in the public eye, and all of a sudden he's the go-to person. However, if he had just been just a regular guy off the street, he wouldn't have got the attention that he does. And it's just like we need to look at that pedestal and really ask ourselves, why do we put people on that pedestal, and are we putting them there because we know them? Yeah, do we know who they are, and are we putting it? And is there anything that could shake them off that pedestal?
But I also think there's a depth to that as well. Like, what's the reason you're doing that? Because if you're doing it to fill a void or gap in you, which most people are, then you need to tap into that.
But again, I don't think it's a wrong thing. I just think I don't think it's a wrong thing to have someone on a pedestal. But it's that whole thing of, if it shakes and it falls down, don't be too disappointed. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't be too disappointed, because people are human. But also, are you really doing it for the reasons that are nurturing, or are you doing it from a place of lack? As in,
that's probably a better way to put it.
Oh, I'll never earn that much, so I'm just gonna worship you because, no. The only person that I would say, I worship and adore is God.
And me.
Does that make sense? No. But do you know what I mean? God and stuff. And that is a belief of what I've experienced in my life and stuff. But nah. And I'm not saying it from a religious point of view. I'm just like, there just isn't anyone worth putting on a pedestal. There isn't. Like, I admire a lot of people, and I love what a lot of people have done for me, for my friends. There's a lot of people who've done some incredible work who I absolutely adore and who I'll do anything for. But that, for me, is not putting people on a pedestal.
What do you think when you see people go, and I will default for females, but that all girly about someone?
Oh my God. Do you know what? I was thinking about this the other day, right? I don't know what made me think about it, actually. So I went to an event a while back, and I didn't know anyone. And I got there and I met a few people, said hello. But I'd made this conscious decision to be there and to show my face. And I realized that things started to get very, very cliquey, and people started moving towards just one table and stuff. And there was no invitation to join. It was just, everybody just started to just move, and everybody was deep in conversation and stuff. And there was one girl out of probably about, I would say, 15 other girls that turned around and said, Vic, come and sit here. And I remember just looking around, and I scanned the room, and I thought, no, this is weird. And again, it was all to be in the proximity of a particular person.
Yeah.
And I found it quite interesting. And it's funny because as soon as that person left, nobody knew what to do with themselves. and it was very interesting watching. I sat there and I literally just watched. I watched the whole room. It was quite interesting to watch. Um, I don't do fangirling.
Do you think I fangirl?
Yeah, I think you do have
What?
yeah, I think you do have an element of it, but not in a. Do you know what? I don't think it's like. I'll tell you what it is. I think it's the fascination. Like,
Sometimes I've said it like I am girl fanning.
yeah, but I love the fact that I mean I've said to someone, stop making me fall in love with you, right? But I'm happy to give out love as much as possible, but it's not because of what they have. It's because of who they are. Like,
As a person.
as a
like,
person,
Yeah, genuinely, yeah.
Like, you know, I have a friend who is very successful, and oh my God, what this woman has done for me, and I can't not love her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and
It's a
she's
feeling, right? It's like a deeper feeling.
it's a deeper feeling. It's that whole thing of wow,
Yeah.
like what you have done, and she's done it without knowing me that well. You know what I mean? It's like an evolving relationship and stuff. And I go, I do love you, and I have no issues of saying that. You know what I mean? And there's a handful of women in my life that I love like that. That I go, do you know what I do? Like, I got you, you got me, and stuff, and all of that. There's not many. I still don't put you on a pedestal though, because here's the thing. To me, that love comes with warts and all. I don't love you because you're successful.
Yeah.
I don't love you because you're always a nice person. I don't love you because you don't have your bad days and your good days. And I don't love you because I agree with you all the time. Does that make sense and stuff? I love you irrespective of all of that. And that to me is where I come from and stuff like, and that's why I think sometimes people make that mistake of thinking if you tell me something bad about someone, it's going to put me off them. It's like it's going to take a lot more, because also I'm hoping that if somebody heard something bad about me, that they'd go, do you know what? She shouldn't have done that, but I still love her.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because in a way, see, I see my friends as like an extended family. I see them as my chosen family. Like you've got your
I agree.
you've
100%.
got your family who you didn't choose, and you love them. You may not like them sometimes, but you love them and stuff, and we wade through it. My friends are my chosen family, who it's like you're not going to lose me just because you fucked up.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
100%.
stuff. It's like it's yes, we may have words. Yes, I may pull you up on it. Maybe I'll get pulled up on it, but we're friends and we ride through it. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so,
I feel
but,
the same.
Yeah, but I don't girl fan. I don't do that.
What do you think about putting people on pedestals if you're in, like we said, like 9 to 5 and stuff like that, or you're in the corporate world, or you're working with people and you're doing it from a perspective that you really want to progress in things?
Well, here's the thing, right? Again, it's the same thing. It's like in the corporate world, relationships will only last so long. And I've seen it happen where that pedestal can benefit you, but it will only get you so far. Because that person cannot sacrifice their career just to make sure that you keep on getting what you need. And here's the thing, that mask will always slip. It will always slip. At some point, you're going to have to stand on your own 2 feet.
Yeah, I think that's the point, because you have to be careful. You're in dangerous territory there of like walking in someone else's shoes.
Yeah, completely. Or walking along somebody's shoes, or taking advantage of somebody being in that space of power where they can give you that. I've never had to. What's the word? I've never had to climb on somebody else's shoulders as such, but I also know that I've had a lot of support. Does that make sense? So, for example, today, I was talking to a really high-profile organization worth billions, and the only reason why I know I was talking to them was because one, somebody had seen me on LinkedIn, but two, that person has literally supported my work and stuff. But they ain't no. What's the word? What do we call it? There's no thing that I'm not putting anybody on a pedestal because of that. Like if it's a choice of put me on a pedestal or you don't get this gig, I'll go, nice to meet you, because but here's the thing, I'm also confident to know that I will get other opportunities as well. and
Yeah.
and I think when people climb on put people on pedestals, sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, is that whole thing of thinking that I can't do it for myself, or I can't achieve what that person has achieved, or that if I hang out with this person, I'm going to get X. And here's the thing, if you can literally work on yourself to know that you are enough and that you can have anything that you truly desire,
Yeah.
which is what I believe,
Yeah.
then what you realize is that, yes, this person may be a good person to know, but guess what? You can walk alongside them.
Love that.
And
Yeah.
rather than trying to put them on this pedestal and hug them for yourself, and it'll never happen, because here's the thing, that person knows that as well, because that other person, the person you're putting on a pedestal, has got their own insecurities as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're going to be going, why are you being nice to me? Why are you being so and it's happened. I've had people who, I know quite a few people who are on other people's pedestals, and they come to me and go, don't like it, why are they doing that? And there's some that will take advantage of it to a point, but then they go, but are we friends because you like me, or are you friends because you like who I am?
It's interesting, actually. I've had a few people the last 6 months where they've come onto calls and they want my community, or they want who I know. They've said that. They've said,
yeah,
I know you. I know your circles. I know you network well, and I'm like, I need help on that. Basically, I want in on it.
Yeah.
And it's in some ways it's nice, in other ways I'm like, but I'm never going to fill that gap in that way that you want it anyway, probably. So let's just unpack it a bit. But it's a bit random.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Well, here's the thing and stuff. In the business that we're in, it is going to happen. But it's almost like, well,
I guess sometimes the aversion I have is that it's like that you can pay me for that. That's all you want. And I know it's probably not what all they want, because I know they're nice enough people, right? And they're not intentionally looking to be bad or nasty. But that sometimes that turns me off a bit. That what can I get from it from people? Where I come from, I try and really live by the term like give without expectation, and just giving more than I take in life.
Yeah, but sometimes though, it's like if you've worked hard to build a community, then you need to know whether
earn it.
Yeah, you need to know
That's
whether,
what I think.
Yeah, you need to know whether it's worth your while. You also need to know what you can get from it as well. And if it's and if it's priceless, then it's a no. But if there's so for example, there was an introduction I made the other day, and I was very honest, and I was like, listen, if this introduction works, what can you do for me? Do you know what I mean? And I started talking money. I was like, what I want is priceless. And they just went, oh God, and stuff. Because I was like, no, well, let's talk. You know what I mean? So it's like at the end of the day, you need to figure out what works for you as well, because it's normal in our industry to exchange audiences. So, for example, we're part of a community where people come in and they pay to be part of that community, because you get visibility to 20,000 people. So you have to pay for it, because all that promo, all those nurturing and everything else and stuff, that's taken time and money. So if somebody wants your audience, and a warm audience that you've worked hard to make warm, then they need to compensate you for that. And you need to decide and say, well, I'll come back to you and see if it's worth it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. It's interesting.
What community is this? Which one? When can I get into it?
I think it comes down to really building great relationships as well, doesn't it?
100%. Exactly. So instead of putting people on a pedestal, I say build powerful relationships.
Because actually what you do notice is, and I've had this before, where there's certain people that I've like really admire in what they do, and they've turned around and said like, oh, you really inspire me in this, and I'm like, oh my God. So it works both ways, doesn't it?
Completely. But that's what I mean. It's like, I think when you put people on a pedestal, you take away building a relationship. You're almost separate yourself from those people. Meanwhile, if you build a relationship with them, a genuine one, then guess what? You become friends, you get to learn more, you get to hang out and so much more and stuff. And guess what? Or you may realize that you don't like them, you don't have the same values, and you go on your merry way. Or you may think to yourself, do you know what? I like you as a teacher, I don't like you as a friend. I will learn from whichever format it comes in. Putting somebody on a pedestal, I think, again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I think it limits your opportunity to build powerful relationships for sure.
Yeah. And it's interesting because there's sometimes I've got my community, I've said, like, I need you guys to put yourselves on pedestals, like, because naturally some of them look at me and stuff, and I said, I need you guys to do it in terms of look at your experience, look at your knowledge that you've got, look at how you can help people, and put that out to the world and go out there and get it, because I believe that will help them more than the opposite as well. And like you said earlier, there's a bit of me there, a bit alarmed of what are they not really leaning into about themselves, where they haven't got confidence and that type of thing. And I said, to be fair, it is, and this is a topic that is important to talk about because it happens. I saw it just before Christmas at an event I went to. They're like, oh my God, they answered my message, and I'm like,
he touched me.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Called my name.
It made me laugh, but it's just it happens and people are doing that. And it's like, do it yourself.
Yeah, but okay. So first and foremost, I do not put him a pedestal. But I remember being in Islington one day and walking past, and Bradley Walsh winked at me. Well, I'm sorry and stuff. That was my story for the whole day. I am sorry. He winked. I was just like, Bradley Walsh. I did not put him on a pedestal. But here's the thing. I don't think we should be putting anybody on a pedestal. And I'll tell you why. If you put yourself on a pedestal, you stop having a relationship with yourself. Just have a powerful relationship with yourself. Have a powerful relationship with other people. Like, get to know you, get to understand you, because the more you get to know you, the more of a powerful relationship you have with yourself. You get to understand your values. You get to know what you're not going to tolerate and what you do tolerate.
That's important.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you get to have those boundaries, and you get to actually make a more discerning, choice as to whose space you want to be in. How many times have we met these people that we think, oh my God, they're amazing, get to know them and go, oh my God, they're not very nice people.
Yeah.
And stuff. And it's like, all that energy for what? I'd rather spend it nurturing myself and the people around me. And if that person, I know so many well-known people who I've met, not put on pedestals, just be myself, and I've created really powerful relationships with. Just being myself and stuff. And I've been in the same room where people are going, and I've just stood there. And, I remember, I think some of the most well-known people I know, I've either met them and gone, congratulations on your work. And that's all I've said. I've got congratulations, because if I'm saying congratulations, it means I think a lot about it and I'm congratulating it on you. And then we've leaned in and had conversations, and now we have numbers, we speak, we have private conversations. None of those people did I ever put on a pedestal or did I go all giggly about and stuff. It's just happened. And I think it's a what's the word? It's a bit of a nugget to have to walk away with. Just be yourself.
Interesting.
Any other thoughts, Pots?
I think we're putting people on a pedestal, and I guess there's always a part around like the expectations that we have for things in life. And that I think lots of people's expectations are very high. And I think the same when you put people on pedestals, the same with that as well. Like we end up disappointed because it's something that we've created in our minds of, like you just said, how someone can be, how someone is. And that part of just again coming into like yourself with everything. I think putting people on a pedestal, I think it takes a high level of awareness as well. And even for me, like thinking like, do I do that? How do I do that? And like that, like, do we put, like, how do we do it with ourselves, but in the right way?
Yeah.
It's like you're saying there, like, actually it means more about, checking out the relationship we have ourselves and everything like that. Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. I think that, again, it's like saying red cars, you go see loads of red cars, you'll start to now see this in your world a lot more and see people doing that or being that way. And it's interesting behaviour to watch people. I'm sometimes fascinated just watching.
Yeah. Pause
how
for
people
thought.
tick.
Yeah, pause for thought and stuff. We'll be interested to see what you come up with when you watch this and you go, oh, that's me. or I used to and I don't anymore. Right, Potts, we're done. So
Thank you.
thank you. And we'll speak to you soon. Take care.
Thank you for listening. If you know someone who needs to hear this, please share it with them, and we would love you to subscribe. Remember, the insights shared only have value when you take action.